Back with the RMR Podcast. This is episode 13. I am Mitch Pfeiffer.
Yo, what's good? J Ping checking in.
Joey's been gone the last episode or two. I've been holding it down. We've had some really dope guests the last couple episodes. Today is no different.
Legend.
But first, before we get into that for just a second, you know what I mean? We always talk about what you smoking on this week, man. What you been blowing on, Joe?
All right, so this week I've been smoking on weed that I grew. We grew runts and some gelato through the winter, and it was super terpy and not the best looking weed in the world, but definitely super terpy. And so today and this last few days, we've been smoking on the runts that we grew, and the homies are actually outside pressing some of it right now using the Nug Smasher.
Okay.
And that's what I'm rolling up. I have some Nug Diamonds, and I just infused this joint with some Nug Diamonds.
So you rolling with the same flavor in the rosin that you got in the flower?
This is a berry sorbet live resin diamonds with a runts flower that we grew. So
and for our non-California audience, for people up in Washington like myself, home grow is legal in California. What is it? 6 plants per adult?
6 plants per resident, not per adult. And which means that depending on your living situation, like for example, here in our address, we got 3 residences on one address. So it's a unique situation for that because we've got the agreement with the neighbor to do 12 plants between the two of us.
So there you go. So that's up here in Washington. I know a lot of people grow, but not legal to home grow. Which is a sin.
So runts with Nug live resin. I've been eating these gummies every day for 2 weeks. These gummies, I purchased 2 packs of these, and these are my favorite gummy right now. The Kiva live resin gummies, super lemon haze, 10 milligrams of gummy. Let me show you. I'm going to eat it here live on camera because I love it so much. It is so delicious. It's sour. It makes you tart. It's just wonderful. So,
all right.
Best gummy in the state right now. Super lemon haze. A close second is the Blue Dream version of this. Just so you know.
Let them know. Let them know. Yeah. I've been smoking on. What was I smoking? I smoked on some Redbird this week. Smoked on some stuff from Zaz, and then I was up with the homie Banco Media, and man, he had the Lucky Lou's like freshman from Minglewood.
Freshman. Okay.
That shit was heat, man. I know you were talking about the other day how the mint strains are played out, which I kind of agree. But this was like I don't know what exactly the cross of it was, but that shit was excellent. I mixed it with.
I love mint strains, man.
Through it was some magnificent. I gotta go find where I can get that myself. But in other news, right? COVID restrictions are dropping. The world is opening back up. We're seeing movies starting to come out. Back in the theaters. AMC stocks going crazy.
AMC stocks making people millionaires today.
Yeah, bro. People are hitting that 7x, 8x. But I mean, shows are coming back. Stuff's excited. The world's opening back up. But with that being said, man, we do have, like we said, we have a special guest today. We got a West Coast legend. So with that said, I'm gonna bring him in and introduce him himself.
The one and only
Glasses Malone, man. What's going on, Glasses?
Man, what's happening, man? Just finna check out this Clipper game versus the Mavs, man. What's happening?
Is Luka giving him the business, or is he getting the business right now?
He's gonna get the business for sure.
He was looking real sensitive after the last performance or so, man. It's been real. It's a coming of age thing right now for him.
Well, I mean, I think it's just gonna get tougher and tougher in that series. I think the coach was making a lot of rotation changes. He didn't want to make the 2 best offensive player had the sole responsibility. So I don't think they'll win another game. It's gonna be bad.
That's the prediction.
Yeah.
you got Kawhi in there. Kawhi knows what to do on both ends of the floor, and he's battle tested for that, holding up that trophy, man. So he's a different kind of beast. Like you said, Joe, he's young in the game. Amazing player, but he's young in the game.
Yeah, he got some work. He got time.
So, man, with that being said, you're a hip hop artist. You've been on the West Coast scene for a while, broken into the mainstream with some hits. Been there, done it, worked with. The resume of artists you've worked with is pretty remarkable, man. But for the listeners out there who might not be as aware of yourself, how do you introduce yourself? What's the Glasses Malone 2-minute elevator or less 2-sentence elevator pitch of how you describe yourself?
Just some authentic thugs from the corner, man. From the West, that's it. I just make it look easier than it is. Most people.
I fuck with that, man. So how did you get your start in hip hop? Were you with hip hop at an early age? Is it something you found later in life?
Yeah.
What's your journey of getting into the craft of just even before getting on and getting accolades and stuff? When did you first discover kind of the craft?
Probably 21 years old. It was just something I did with my people, just joking and playing. Kind of battle rapping, just having fun, nothing serious in the backyard. And my younger brother came home. He was in trouble. He was in YA at the time, and he came home wanting to rap. He wanted me to rap with him. I think he was setting me up because he wanted me to pay for studio time. At that time, I was hustling, so I was having some money. And I thought he wanted me just to pay for the studio time, but he acted like he wanted to rap with me. And I kind of picked it up then and just got, I fell in love with it. I wouldn't say I fell in love with it initially. It became real therapeutic. I became addicted to it, and I kept doing it. So that's really how it started all together.
And so at what point, how long did it take for you to fall, to get that point where you're like, man, I'm really in love with it, trying to go hard with this? Or was it just something that you were kind of doing on the side and just stumbled your way into it a little bit deeper?
I probably didn't fall in love with it till 2012.
Okay.
So I had already had a record deal, already had some hit records, some regional hits, some success. But the more I learned about it, I just really, really fell in love with it. It got really good to me. And then it became something I couldn't live without. But it happened much later. I was already in it full force.
Yeah, I was watching.
Interesting.
I watched your interview when you were on the Breakfast Club. The last time it was like a year ago or a year and a half ago. And I was one of the parts that had stuck up. There's a few things I'll probably reference in this conversation, but one of the things on the conversation we're talking about now that stuck out to me was you were talking about on your first, it might have been your first 2 label situations or your first one at least. You said that you just weren't picking up how to get a hit record, how to work the industry. And so is that kind of around the time you fell in love with it? Did you start being I really want to understand this game at a deeper level with song structures and the business side, or did you get that buzz and then kind of come to that realization I got a little bit further to go?
Really what happened was so around 2011 and 12, I was making a great living. I was able to take care of myself. You know what I mean? Everything was good. But some of my homies that was coming home from prison at that time, because my whole run in the streets was probably late 90s all the way to the mid 2000s. So all your friends go to jail and they all going to jail for 5, 10, 15 years. And when friends was coming home from jail, I I didn't have enough money to create, careers for them.
Mm-hmm.
I was straight, but I didn't make enough money to create careers for them. I couldn't give them $70,000, $80,000 a year. That became the starting point of something's wrong. I'm in a business with millions upon billions of dollars, and I'm not, collecting a large enough pie to make sure that, my friends and my family could take advantage of the same situation. And that became the start. But when I start really getting into records, I got to thank my DJ Head, who was a DJ at The Real, 92.3 in LA. He started explaining to me tempo and was trying to explain records to me. And a couple times he kept going over and over. And I didn't figure it out the first or second time, but the third time I figured it out what he was saying. So I thank God he never gave up on me. So really, I started falling in love. I realized something was wrong, you know what I mean? But that didn't make me fall in love. The more I started learning about records, the science of it, and at first it became something I thought you just had to naturally be gifted at. You know what I'm saying? You had to just be. I thought people was making all this shit up out their head. They was just coming up with this. I didn't realize
it's kind of shunned if you aren't almost. You know what I mean? It's kind of talked down upon if you can't do that at a high level.
Well, what's funny is that's so far from the truth, and you start realizing that it's not just art to hip hop or records; it's a science to it as well. And that's when I start falling in love. I'm a math science person anyway. I naturally love math and science. So once I started realizing science was, the time in the business and in records or hip hop, or marketing, I immediately just started falling in love with it. And shit, now it ain't no separating me from it. Even if I go to the studio for 4 hours, I gotta be in there. I gotta touch something. I gotta hear something. I gotta feel something.
So what kind of music moves you the most? Because you got if I look back at a lot of your catalog, it goes a little diverse. You got some just hardcore West Coast gangster rap, stuff that fits kind of in that box. You got your hits, your more radio type hits, and then I think you really carved a niche out storytelling, which doesn't necessarily have a genre, right? You can storytell over any style or genre. What's kind of the one that's what's your favorite to make, and then which ones end up being kind of the nearest and dearest to your heart?
So that's tricky. I think naturally I'm a storyteller. That's naturally, that's just what I do. I mean, it's what I've been doing since I was a kid. I used to write stories for people and sell them to them in the 4th grade, about video game characters. So writing stories is just kind of what I do naturally. As far as the style of record, it ain't really one style. You know what I mean? I'm really focused on mastering the West Coast style more than anything. You know what I mean? Just delivering that. Right now delivering the vintage feel of it, and then on future projects coming up, delivering what I think it should sound like tomorrow. But it's initially it was rooted in funk, and it's developing and it's changing every day. So it's no real place to say, the style. It's really just something you do. It's back to the essence of real hip hop, where it's just, you taking the music that you grew up with or that's from your region and turning it into special things for everybody else. So it's tricky like that. I think storytelling is my natural thing, but I've had my I hate the club. I'm not a club person at all. But my biggest record is a party record, which is That Good with Todd. So that was when I first started understanding records. So, that's my greatest record. So I think it just started coming out. You figure it out. Tupac Must Die became probably top 3 for me. And it's a story. It's completely different. So I think long as I tap into the essence of gangster rap, or West Coast hip hop, and just going to the origin 6 in the morning and Boys in the Hood, and I start from there. Every time I'm building out, I'll be just fine.
Yeah, and so with
that's an inspiring starting point for anybody, man.
Yeah, you got it. And I've been sharing that with different MCs that's coming up and guys that's making records. I'm like, whatever style of record you're trying to make, start from the beginning of that. You know what I mean? Don't start. It's like coming into the NBA and you're trying to be like Bradley Beal was who you aspire to be. And it's like, there's all kind of better shooting guards in the NBA, you know what I mean? But you're looking at, somebody that's maybe not making an all-star game or not making an all-NBA team. So I like to go back to the essence, going back to Ice-T, going back to the Eazy-E song, going back to Fuck the Police. And if I'm making a festive party song, I like to go back to Wild Thing by Tone Loc, that's like 89, or 90 with DJ Quick Tonight. You know what I mean? I start right there. Even if I'm, working on something that's more modern, I start back there.
And so that's with the newer record you got pumping right now, the 6 in the morning, do you classify that as a G mix, or do you just classify that as just kind of a new record?
It's really a new record. I call it a
Yeah.
remix because I knew one existed and I knew what I built it from. But to everybody else, it's a brand new record. So I'm kind of stuck. I'm just being honest.
That's why I was curious if you approached that, were you originally approaching that as like just a G mix and then kind of envisioned it as a little bit bigger, or was that just what you were talking about? Like, I want to create a new record that's a derivative of where this comes from.
No. So it's nothing. I mean, it's not anywhere as brilliant as the Ice-T's original joint from '86. You know what I'm saying? It's nowhere near as brilliant as that. But what it is it's a celebration of where we came from to where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like it just happened to have the same title because it very much is still a celebration of West Coast.
Yeah.
When we built that one, I think it's more or less that's back somewhere near tonight. Maybe Wild Thing, it's like to there, but I feel like, bringing Ice-T into that fold was important. Having Ice-T on the song was special. It's 40 years later. You know what I mean? And OG still got it. It ain't nothing.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of verses, man. He doesn't bless a lot of verses.
Yeah, he told me that. He said on the song, So I'm grateful.
That's legendary. Like when I personally first discovered G music was off of some of the G mixes. I think with the Greg Street mixtape.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember I was crazy. Like literally, we started like. Our platform started as a clothing line, like when we were in college back in the day. And so we were throwing parties. And then also I worked like as a job at a bar. And so at the parties we threw, I got to spend whatever the fuck I wanted, Yeah. At the bar, I kind of had to stay in a role. So I'm pretty sure I was spending like, the sun come up and joint with T-Pain at the bar. But then at our parties, I was spinning the Asher Roth G mix.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember. I love hustling. I love dollars. I'm bad with titles. And then the Keeping 1000, the explosive remix.
Yeah. So right at that time, I still didn't really have a good clue. I just had what I had. It's like being on the court. You don't really have the technical ability, but you just know how to hoop. So I could rap, you know what I mean? And I had been through so much, and it was all real. You know what I mean? It was based off of real things happening. So those were good times, though. I really liked those times. I really liked that project with Greg Street. That was a fun time. And the same thing with anytime I get on mixtapes, you know what I'm saying? Anytime I get on mixtapes or do other people's records, I'm definitely competitive in hip hop like that. So it works out for me.
Yeah, I missed that era in the last like 10 years or two. The competitiveness is still there by all means, but it's more like competitive over shit that don't matter a lot of times. The list, the blogs, whatever it is. We want those mixtape days where it felt like, it was teams going against each other, all these songs and all these different beats, and it was like, what beats were they picking? How were you curating it? It was really such an experience. It was mixtapes back then were albums in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
such a wild time.
And that, again, like my whole goal with a lot of the stuff moving forward is just going backwards. I mean, I feel like the best record makers, the best artists go backwards and then they bring it forwards. So my goal is constantly to go back. You know what I mean? Find what am I doing and where did it happen before? It may don't sound like this, but it feels like this. You know what I'm saying? So I go back to where it feels like it and I build from there. But I feel like if you include, it's like having foundations to a super strong structural building. You know what I'm saying? You're able to get the blueprints, and you just build from there. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I've been building from. So I agree with you. I love when I'm sad Crazy Tunes isn't alive right now. I take with Crazy Tunes, you know what I'm saying? Just to get that whole complete project feel and learn all of the stuff he knows. But when you're younger, you don't even know who to appreciate for everything.
Right. That's real. That's real.
Nice.
Man. So yeah, because I remember those early remixes. That was something like when I first got turned on to you. I remember that. I like the Asher Roth one way more than the Asher Roth one. We were in college, you know what I mean? But like when it's talking about rap, you know, we grow up on listening to gangster rap, and you got a popular song that someone puts that spin on it, and you're like, bro, this sounds right.
I always gravitate to the West Coast rap.
I used to perform that. I was on tour with Tech Nine, and I would perform that. I probably performed that 20 straight shows. People used to know that, and I thought it was dope too. I used to like Asher Roth a lot though, so.
Yeah, and that was like right around the time, like the whatever the new West Coast, right? The classification. I don't know if you guys kind of embodied that yourself, or that was just the label that magazines threw at y'all.
Yeah. No, that was our thing, and it really was just a new way we wanted to do things on the West, where we worked with each other and helped each other. You know what I'm saying? It was something we believed was necessary at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, moving forward now, looking at it, is like, I think we just didn't know the right things to ask. And when you're young, it's such a chip on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think we knew the right things to ask. That's all.
Yeah.
So who do you, because that new West Coast vibe, I mean, what I think of, I'm curious who you consider to be like in that core group. Because I think of like you, Nip, probably J-Rock, and like the early starts of TDE. I know he was kind of the front man for a second, but TDE in general, just because they kind of quickly rode that train once he broke through. Problem.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone else that you kind of classify? I mean, I'm not trying to leave people out or be selective.
No. There's a ton of people. Game, Scipio, Kid Topic from West Covina, Bishop Lamont, obviously.
Mm.
I mean, Mike Stroh, obviously. It was a bad luck. It was a few of us. You know what I'm saying? We inspired a lot of the people. You know what I mean? At that time, man.
There was a whole sound. There was a whole wave of a sound that was created, man. It was a new West Coast bounce, and it just bars over the bounce.
I don't feel like we ended up getting a sound as much as we got an energy that wasn't existing here.
Mm.
Yeah,
I feel like we got an energy that wasn't happening here. We created.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we could do anything with sound because, you know, you coming out of the era where Dr. Dre, Battle Cat, Warren G, DJ Quick, Law, Slip, DJ Unknown. You trying to. So sound wise, I don't think it was even competitive. You know what I'm saying? Because they just was crazy. But I think energy, it was a different energy that they never had for sure. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful that, that we were able to bring something and add to the culture even at that time. And my goal is just to keep adding more stuff to the culture. Just keep putting more bricks into the foundation. You know what I mean? I feel like I got a few in there, but I could do a much better job.
Yeah, and I that was another thing on the Breakfast Club interview you did where you're talking about the Tupac Must Die record and how you felt like that was one of your first contributions to the culture.
Man, damn. I feel like hip hop, right, it does a great job at bringing information to the 99.8% of the world, or that isn't aware of such cultural arms. You know what I mean? And morality was a really important thing. I thought morality was being lost about what it's like to come from this street life and this gangbang stuff. It's a real confusion about the morality of it. And so to be able to teach that lesson, you know what I mean? And then because one of the greatest rappers of all time is a part of it, you know what I mean? It made people have to hear the story, even if it hurt, it hurt people's feelings, but the truth is like, it's not it's uncomfortable. It makes you grow because then you have to start making decisions based off more information. And like my goal was never to get people to make information about Tupac. Like his legacy is set in stone. He's lived every day to the fullest. But it's about things you're seeing currently, different rappers that's talking this, friends that you got growing up that you see wanting to be a part. It's like, do they know, moral-wise how this works? You know what I'm saying? And that was important. I've always thought that good West Coast hip-hop, from 6 in the morning, to Fuck the Police, to Dre Day, you know what I mean? I think it really embodies this energy that, too short. That's this accurate thing that you didn't know was happening. You didn't realize within the culture they might have been calling a woman a bitch. You know what I mean? That's the language for women who ain't cool and be tripping, and they say it freely. Or you didn't realize it was so many gangster stories happening for Ice-T to tell you how it was going on. And NWA, these 5, dudes from Compton explaining to you they have a problem with the heroes of the world at that time. Everybody looked up to the police and they were the heroes. And it's 5 brothers like, yeah, these dudes ain't no good. Like, they not right. They harassing us. They mistreating us. And even in 1988, 87, when they put that out, it didn't really start making sense to other people outside of the culture until the Rodney King incident happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and I liked, listening to that song and then listening to you on some other interviews, like break it down. Because it's not like I like hip hop, right? So it's not like I got up in arms like, fuck this dude, what the fuck's he's speaking this blasphemy? But it's kind of it's shocking, right? To just that angle of the record. But to hear you break it down, like, humanizes someone that we put up on a pedestal, right? Because like in 95, I was young, so I know Pac from posters and shit. I don't even know Pac from watching him on TV.
It's like looking at Jesus on the cross and somebody holler. It's like, oh, this man died for our sins. It's serious,
right? And that bringing that perspective that you did humanizes that person, and just brings it into, for me, brings it to reality and makes it less about like what you're saying. I mean, literally, he gets compared to Jesus Christ like a martyr or whatever. And it's like, I mean, he's a human in a situation. Because of his other things, we hold him in such accolades, and it doesn't make it right or wrong. It humanizes the situation.
And that's my goal. The point is, my goal was to never humanize Tupac. My goal was to humanize Orlando Anderson. You know what I mean? I felt like, if somebody dies, they're human. You know what I'm saying? If you're aware of how they died and when they died, right? Don't get me wrong, there's very much a deity energy to Tupac that's different. But I wanted to humanize the person involved, allegedly, because I think most people don't care. You know what I'm saying? And you have a world of people acting like they understand Crips or Bloods or represent these bandanas or act like they love people affiliated, but do you really get it? You know what I mean? Do you really understand what's going on? You know what I mean? So it was dope to bring a human element to somebody that is really respected where we from. You know what I'm saying? And not to keep painting him as some villain or some hater or some evil person, versus these are the situations that happen where we from. And this is how they go bad. You know what I'm saying? This is why they go bad. This is why these things happen. Right. So, I mean, it's always a tough, learning is tough. Like I said, growing is tough. It's very uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And good hip hop makes the majority of people that hear it uncomfortable. It should. It should bring comfort to the uncomfortable, and then, bring uncomfort to the comfortable. I mean, it should literally, people who doing good should be frightened. People who get it should feel like, damn, relieved, like somebody's expressing how it really go down. That's the goal.
No matter how abrasive it may be, there's a connection. It could be good or bad or for worse, but great music, good hip hop, whatever we want to call it. Good music in general has that ability to connect, whether it's to a heartbeat, to a bounce, to a head bob, to a straight on you mouthing the words along to a song raging at a festival, right?
Yeah. Morality is such a huge and really unspoken part of culture. And we may look at something like this right here, but then over there, they're doing something completely different. And like, it's easy to judge that over there based off of your eyes. But if you don't know, hip hop always gave other people a chance to live from their eyes. You know what I mean? From the perspective of that you may didn't understand. You're like, oh, that was my goal. Like, I wanted you to look at that video, and that's why the video was shot in first person. I wanted you to be the person. Like, how would you feel if these things happened to you? I mean, how would you feel if you going to watch a fight, or you got into a fight with some rival guys, and you protecting a friend, and everything happens, and you go to the casino to watch a fight, you go to the Vegas, and then somebody comes and jump on you. That was the goal. Good hip hop, puts you in that vein of that person and that culture that you wouldn't necessarily have access to. If you from, Anaheim Hills in Orange County, you feel me? Maybe you don't have access to life in Watson Compton. So, if you can look at it on the news and be like, these people are horrible. But if you have insight and somebody else who can explain it to you, and you have a true, clear path to it, you know what I'm saying? It's no There's nobody with bias. Somebody telling you exactly how it goes from the way they see it. You know, it builds an understanding.
Yeah.
Right. And I think one of the things that was really powerful for me is a conversation we've been having, like, you know, last year with just, you know, racial tensions, the movement that's going on up here. You know, I'm in Seattle, very, very proactive on that front, but we're also still very, very Caucasian by just demographic makeup, you know. Yeah. And I think a lot of people have used this to like propel certain elements of Black culture forward. Meanwhile, like the media and marketing and products are marketing what's cool and what's trendy. But I think we skip past, like, and I think kind of what you were talking about in another interview was just kind of the causation, the cause and the effect of like poverty and systemic racism, like what has happened to the Black community. And we highlight elements and elevate things without addressing the causation, the effects of these causes. And I think that's kind of what you were touching on a little bit in this song, if I'm not mistaken.
Really important thing, you know, what poverty creates, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, systemic oppression, and, you know, you could talk about race, you know, these conversations could go on and on, but human beings are going to be human beings. It's just what they do. And the only systemic oppression worth even, you know, engaging or entertaining is the economic part of it. That's the only problem. I don't care if somebody doesn't like me. That's not important. Who likes you? It's somebody can stop you from making a way for your family, or somebody can stop you from, you know, creating a livelihood for yourself. That is the problem. Somebody liking you, somebody not wanting to eat with you, somebody not wanting to do things with you is not as important. It's really when somebody's stopping you from advancing your own cause when it comes to caring for your family. That's the only thing worth talking about. And when you don't have it, you know, poor white people and poor Black people doing the same thing in this country. It ain't no different. You know what I mean? It's poor people doing the same thing. So I don't really try to focus so much on the, you know, the racial part of it, because the racial part only is a conversation when it comes to economics. Outside of that, it's way too many people worried if other people like them. I can't get down with that. I don't need people to like me. I just need you to not get in my fucking way when I'm trying to care for my family.
Let me do me.
Say less on that.
Man, switching gears from that record a little bit, with all the records that you've done, you know, we talked about this a second ago, all the records you've done, the resume of people you work with, who are some of your favorite artists that you've collaborated with throughout your career?
So I'll be alive if I don't put Akon in the top 3. Raphael Sadiq is in the top 3. And Ty Dolla. So it's going to be singers. So it's going to be Akon, Raphael Sadiq, and Ty Dolla $ign. You could 1, 2. Probably Ty is number 1. He always challenges me. You know what I'm saying? Every time I leave the studio with him, I leave better. Every time I listen to his records, I get better as a record maker. Literally, he's just an amazing talent. You know what I'm saying? He's just brilliant. He's just genius at times. But those 3 guys are the king of it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's awesome.
They made me feel real comfortable. You know, that it was such a music kind of collab that it was dope. The way it felt, how easy it was, how refreshing it was dope.
I can see that. Ty is on everything, man. That dude's a part of so many records. It's insane, from writing, production, performing, all over the place, man.
Yeah. Ty is a monster, man. It's like Rick James or something.
For rappers though, strictly on the bars, what are some of the favorite rappers you've shared verses with?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you rappers who I think like serve me on songs. I don't really think I get served on music a lot. You know what I mean? I know exactly.
I would agree.
I know exactly my style, so I know exactly how to do what I do really good. So it's tough for somebody, even though you could do what you do better, it may not be like I'm still gonna do what I do so well. But the 3 rappers who I felt like I got on a song with, and they literally just like, I wish I would have just did another verse. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Lil Wayne and Haters.
Yeah.
Like he literally just rapped like 24 bars or something. that was crazy. You know, that was our introduction to doing music. And he just, you know, pretty much embarrassed me in my mind. B.O.B. I had a song called Knock It Out that came out in 2016. And B.O.B. had this, you know, most people think he's just this pop rapper. Like, no, B.O.B. is a real MC. And we have a song called Knock It Out, and it's just really this fun record that's dope. I mean, you hear it, it's dope, it's fun, it makes sense, it's a good time, knock it out. And his verse to me is just so fucking killer. And it was like nothing. And that was one of the few times where I was like, Jesus Christ, man, like, that's good. You feel me?
It's that easy. It's that easy for some of them. You know?
That good. So he could do these super pop records with Skylar Grey and turn around and do this. Yeah. No, that's Bob. That's B.O.B. man. B.O.B. is so underrated and so nasty.
You got an extensive catalog.
Yeah, the third time I felt like I got served. Who did I feel was just really special? Somebody I thought about, and that fast I'm not thinking about who they were. Who was the third person? I just was talking about this. Lupe.
Oh.
Lou was another one that I just sometimes be like, fuck. You know what I mean? We did a song and that song was so dope. You know what I mean? So I got him on the song though. It's a song we did called Choppers, and it's about 10 people on the song.
Yep.
I ate his food on that song. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of those Tech 9 ones, right?
Well, no. So my Midwest Choppers, the style of
it.
So it's a Lupe Fiasco song called Choppers. You check it out. It's like 10 people on it. For sure, I brought it to Lupe on that song. So I think I didn't hold it as bad when he did it to a song because the other song didn't come out.
Okay.
But I knew he was good on it. But this one I got out, and I know for sure, like, you know, he had to listen. Like, okay, Glasses still, you know, he could do some stuff.
Yeah, he gets Lupe gets tossed in that contention as one of the greater lyricists in the game, man. So
very often.
He eat for real. He know what he's doing. He a master. You feel me? It ain't no, you know, you get masters like Snoop, guys who can just do what they do. You know what I'm saying? But you know, they do what they do and you can keep up. But then there's some masters that do what they do where like, yeah.
And then when you do, you know, collaboration records, you know, even pre-COVID, are you more like work in the studio with people, or are you more send tracks back and forth?
It depends. Like with Ty, I go to the studio. With Kendrick, it's more send tracks. I usually don't like them when they come back, but I like to be in the studio with Gang because the energy changes. Snoop, same thing. Snoop is pretty consistent. You know what I'm saying? You already know what Snoop is gonna do. It depends on the artist. Some artists, you know, you don't want to be in their way. You just want to let them do what they do. And some you kind of need to be right there so they can feel the vibe of what you want. Ty is my favorite person to be in the studio with because watching him do it is just crazy at times.
I can only imagine what those behind the scenes are always looking like. It's just always a vibe. Bars, flows, melodies, crazy beats. Just
really the joke is the best. Like being in the studio with everybody from TDE, you know, for years it's just jokes.
Yeah.
You know, the conversations is one thing, they cool, but the jokes are like top tier. Like sometimes I just don't feel fair that y'all don't get to know the version of, you know, K-Dot of Kendrick that I know. Like, you know, how funny he is. That nigga is hilarious. You feel me? So I wish people could see that more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
he like low key funny, like little jabs that don't really come across as funny, or he
that nigga is fall on the floor funny.
Damn.
And it's right because you see him and he's so serious, and you know all his song topics. He seems so serious, but in real life he's a fucking clown. And I don't mean like a clown's like talking shit. I mean like a real fucking clown. Like he is the center of attention. He's fucking funny as shit. You know what I mean? And, you know, being on tour and tons of studio with him, you know, it's awesome.
Yeah. I bet that whole crew seems like a bunch of characters, man.
Man, you Q, Soul, feel me, right? All them dudes is shit. They all funny. Even Punch, you know, and all them motherfuckers is funny.
Yeah. So, the West Coast has a unique thing, the different, South, East, West. We don't really, up here in the Pacific Northwest, we don't really got shit on the map in terms of historic hip hop.
Well, man, we can't do mix a lot like that.
Well, no, I'm not. I was gonna say besides a few people, we got mixed, and then we have Macklemore. People got their opinions or whatever. But that's about the extent of what we got going on. But the West Coast seems like one of those areas where like the torch gets passed often, and like there's a collaboration and a brotherhood across artists. From the outside looking in, would you say that there's some truth to that? That just kind of the scene out there is a some form of like a brotherhood of people working together and elevating each other, or is it not? Is there a lot of friction? I mean, I'm sure there's friction as well.
So it depends on who you ask. 9 out of 10 people gonna swear to God the West Coast don't work with each other. That's the common theme. But I consider Washington a part of the West. I consider Arizona a part of the West. Sure. Whatever the Cowboys thought of the West, I think of the West the same thing. You feel me? Back in the day, but I think so the West gets a bad rap that they don't work with each other. But I just genuinely think people don't know how to work with each other over here. You got to know what to ask people. You know what I'm saying? And that's the hardest part, knowing what to ask people. What are you asking for? You can't ask people for everything. I mean, but you got to know where everybody's special at. Like, I know exactly what to call Battle Cat and ask for. I know what to call Dr. Dre and ask for. At first, I had no idea, so I just expected them to help me. I know exactly what to ask Snoop about. I know exactly what to ask Cube about, or Mac 10 about, or I was on the phone with Hitman the other day for like 2 hours, and I knew the right conversations to have with him. You know what I mean? And I didn't know that at first. So I think when you're a fresh artist, you don't quite know what to talk to people about. But I think as you're around more, you figure it out. You like, okay, I get it. I know what I'm doing. So it's deceptively like we don't fuck with each other, but the truth is most people will do anything for you.
Yeah. I mean, and that makes sense, right? Like coming up in any industry or field, when you're young, you got the chip on the shoulder. You look at the people up on the pedestal or the gatekeepers, and there might be a sense of entitlement or just thinking that things should come to you, and it seems so distant. But as you grow and mature, working with one another, what part of your growth kind of helped you identify how to work with these people and how to ask these things? Were there people that kind of gifted that game to you, or did you just kind of figure it out on your own?
No. I just started doing a lot of homework. Because right now, like they say, it's all smoke and mirrors. So the information clears the smoke. The information clears the smoke and breaks the mirror. Now you can see and who's who. You know exactly who's who. There's no more smoke screen. So when you go to talk to somebody, it's almost like it's a sigh, it's a smile, it's a thing of relief. They know, like, damn, he knows exactly who I am now. He knows exactly who I am. So it's no more questions. You know what I mean? So it's your job to do the homework. It's your job to get the information, to clear the smoke and break all the mirrors. So now you can see exactly what you're looking at.
That makes sense. And then also, another question I have for you is coming through the industry and seeing how you spoke and listen to your music. It seems like it's authentic, right? And I think that's something that you probably describe yourself as is authentic. Yeah. Where music is entertainment, the game itself is entertainment. So
very serious.
How has it been, navigating the space of so much? I know we're smoking another mirrors, another metaphor, but the smoke, the mirrors, the mask, the facades. How has it been navigating that?
Horrible. It's a horrible thing, man, to be in the business. You in the business of bullshit, and you like trying to be authentic. You trying to be for real. You know what I'm saying? It don't work together. You know what I'm saying? But it makes my journey take so much longer. You know what I mean? Like, people don't want to do business with people that's real niggas. They don't want to, in that concept of that. Like, they don't want to do that. So it forced me to have to learn what everybody does and respect it. And now I have to know so much just to give myself a chance to get where I really want to go. You know You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's tough. It's tough being authentic in this business. You know what I mean? Me and Nip used to always talk about that. And that's why people, we get caught up in our own situations of creating what we need to create for ourselves, because we know other people don't understand it and they not going to understand it. So once you know that, you just start garnering information to prepare you for the journey, the place you're trying to walk.
It's huge.
And so, speaking of Nip, that's someone I know that how special was his rise, like locally, and then obviously being able to take that from LA and sharing it across the globe, and how special was it kind of watching that? Because it's very rare you see someone that's that authentic and take the long road by choice. That doesn't really happen very often in music.
Sure. So in LA, it was kind of hard to tell because it kind of happened faster. So you kind of didn't see it. I mean, one day I went from just me and the homies playing this shit to like women playing this shit. That's where it changes. And I remember asking him, like, yo, why is girls playing your shit? He's like, man, really, G, all you got to do is talk to them some. But I think watching it for everybody else was dope. At times it's annoying now because it's like people just going over the top. You can tell that they didn't even fuck with Cuz at first. And you can see they just crazy. They got tech. It's crazy. They get all in the captions and shit. But as much as it annoys me because I wish he would have saw that love, he knew what was going to happen. He knew that love was coming. So he just didn't get to see it with his own eyes, but I'm sure he felt it inside his heart even before it happened. He knew it was coming. So it's dope to watch it happen. The most important thing when it comes to NH's rise to me is when we first met back in 2007, and or maybe 5, but when we first talked in 2007, and he was telling me he was going to buy the shopping center. He was out there with his homies and he was chopping it up. I was in the Bentley and we chopping. He's like, man, I'm going to buy the shopping center one day. When he finally got that shopping center, I think it was 2017 and 18, like that was special. That was something that, we don't really see, especially that's a couple $1 million, couple $1 million property, multi-million dollar property. So that's the most important thing. That's the nearest and dearest thing to my heart.
Right.
That's a special part to be a part of that journey with that as well. That's huge.
Yeah. And watch it happen. You know what I mean? Like it was amazing. That it really make you believe that was dope. That was real special. I can't even begin to speak on how special that is.
Yeah, because that's got to provide validation, right? That it can be done outside of the system, outside of the record system, on your own terms, staying true to yourself, because we don't see a lot of people take it. Obviously, the death magnifies it in pop culture to a whole nother level. But even before that, the level that he was able to reach on his own, that's got to be.
Bought a multi-million dollar building. You know what I'm saying? That's unbelievable. And watching him that day, the nigga that I ran into, we was popping, the nigga had some booty shorts on, just some low top chucks and a fucking slingshot. You know what I mean? Hair frizzy, and braids. Yeah, I'm gonna buy this, and he bought it. That shit's fire. Shit, good, man. That man had it his way. You feel me? And as sick as I am about him not really getting to enjoy the fame of it all, I'm sure in his heart he already lived it.
So where do you see the West Coast right now? The new West Coast, whatever, it's just almost a decade ago now, the rise of that. And that lasted, it wasn't like it was just a flash in the pan. And we still see the careers like your career, Nipsey's career, certain, K-Dot's careers obviously skyrocketed from there. But where do you kind of see the West Coast right now in terms of identity, where it's at locally in terms of how you guys interact with one another, and where do you think the trajectory is about to go for this next, going into this next decade?
I think locally is great. Locally, there's a ton of artists. People celebrate, around the world. I think nationally, it's a problem. I think nationally, it's a bit fragmented. It's a bit confusing. And that's the most important part. You know what I mean? Like everybody that's rapping, that's part of my generation or younger should all be looking to turn the West Coast into what it was when Snoop and all of them had the range. And I mean, we would want to turn it into that. We want that reign where, there's a wave of music where we're reshaping the rest of the country, the rest of the world. Where we're going and how do I see it? It depends on a couple careers. It depends on Ty Dolla $ign's career. Ty Dolla $ign as a producer, not as an artist. Ty Dolla $ign as an artist. As a producer. It depends on Blast. It's a dude coming up, BLXST Blast as a producer. Yeah, it depends on those guys as producers. As the producers figure it out, then to add that to Mustard, to add to Hit Boy. We need Ty Dolla $ign beats for more artists. We need Blast beats to break more artists. Mustard is handling the lion's share of it all. Mustard is breaking so much shit. It's crazy. It's special to watch him work, but we need Hit Boy to break more shit. He's working on it. We need Blast to break more shit than just Blast. We're gonna need Ty Dolla $ign to break more than just him and YG. We need him to break more artists nationally. So I think that becomes the really important thing. And then, bring the next group of producers to create sounds and records to break more artists, because that's the key.
And then for yourself, what's next? I don't want the album on its way.
Yeah. Look like August 20th, the first one. Man, I really have about 3 albums dropping this year, so I'm just focused on doing the right thing with every one of them.
And the next one up what's you've been public with the title and everything?
Nah, but it's really special. It's all in the same vein of taking it back to the essence. I mean, the beginning of music and embracing, the past of where I came from, the dirt where I came from. So that's my goal, to just keep doing that, getting back to the beginning of it all, not worrying about what's happening today, just getting back to the beginning of it and bringing that forward. Once I bring that forward, I'll be in the game.
Yeah. And so with these next 3 albums, is the focus going to be kind of, you don't have to share too much if you don't, is the focus going to be with all 3 kind of staying back where you have, or is it going to be starting in the back and then the process of bringing it forward through this little trilogy of releases?
Some is different. Like, on this project, right, it's Ice-T, right? It's Coolio, it's Snoop Dogg, it's East Side, it's Corrupt. You know what I'm saying? It's E40 and Shorts, right? It's that. But on the next one, it's the Whispers. You know what I'm saying? The R&B group, the Whispers. It's Patrice Rushen, the singer, Forget Me Not. It's just bringing it. I'm working on an idea with Frank Beverly. So just trying to bring culture, drag it forward, put it on my shoulders and just drag it forward, bring it here, bring it, bring those people right here today to 2022. Bring them. I'm dragging them over my shoulder with a rope.
So we got a big summer and fall ahead of us.
Say that again.
We got a big summer and fall ahead of us.
Yeah, man. Really for the next 36 months. My goal is for the next 36 months. I haven't put out a lot of music, over the last 5 years, just learning, and 3 years before that, just learning. So now I got to catch up. I got to deliver music because people been, I got to bring it all. It's time to go to work. Yep. And that means dragging culture forward, dragging it forward. I think because the West Coast, we haven't evolved culture-wise, I think we still pretty much are on the same type of time, as far as the streets and how things work. So instead of trying to, you can't force evolution of culture, right? So what you do is you combine it with the things that made it what it was. And I'm just going to drag that shit up forward. I'm going to drag that shit to today.
Muscle it up. Let's get it. I appreciate y'all, man. This next wave is going to be crazy. We're very excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it all.
And so at this point, man, being in the game, so you've been in the industry a little bit over a decade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in that time, you've collaborated with some of just the biggest icons, and not just, you know, West Coast. I know you mentioned like Coolio and stuff like that coming out like in hip hop. How has it been? I know you said it was taking a little bit of learning how to ask these people for the right things, but how have you been able to collaborate with such a wide array of artists? Because you got, I don't know if there's who keeps track of stats like they do in basketball and all that shit, but you've got to have like one of the most, you know, when you look at icons, like you got a lot in the bag, man. How has it been getting them on records?
Nowhere near as hard as I thought it would be. I think once people know, you know who they are. Again, once you do enough, you know, you garner enough information, you do the work, you know, all the smoke and mirrors clear. You know, smoke clears, the mirrors crack, and it's just people in, you know, talking. And once you know how to talk to people about what they into and who they are, and you know how to respect them, and you know what they contributed to the culture, you feel me? Then it's a different conversation. It's a completely different conversation. It's not hard. It's not like pulling teeth. The other day I reached out to MC Hammer. Like, I want to do something with MC Hammer. It's really important to me to do something with MC Hammer. And he's like, man, G, long as we got the right record. I said, I'll keep sending you records until we get the right record. I know what it should sound like. And once you're in that space, I know who he is as a human being. I know what he's doing. So I know how to make the right idea. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll just get him on it and drag him forward, you know, to make sure our guys get love. You know, our culture gets love from where I grew up at and the people I grew up on. And even like I said, the Whispers, Patrice Rush, and the people who were doing it before I was alive.
Yeah, that's legendary. Yep. That's legendary.
That's the goal.
Man, before we get you up out of here and let you get on with your evening, man, is there anything else that you'd like to plug, anywhere people can find you? I think you said the album coming August 20th.
August 20th. New record dropping, you know, June 25th.
Okay.
I'm Googleable. You know what I'm saying? You can Google me and I'm everywhere at once. You feel me? Like, my presence is omnipotent at times. So it's all good.
He said, find me on Google, man. I got all sorts of links. Well, appreciate you very much joining us today, man, sharing the insight, some of your experiences in the game, man. Again, very, very thankful to have you on here. And like I said, it was hella funny having you as a guest, because like I said, when we first started doing parties, man, like I said,
when you said I love dollars, I just was like, wow, I remember that.
I'm telling you, I had because I had the CDJs, so I had, you know, the mixed CDs, and so I had when we did our events, I had like 2 CDs, so I probably had 35 songs of shit that I wanted, that I didn't give a fuck who else wanted to listen. Y'all gonna listen to my shit if I'm the one paying for the venue. You guys are waiting for the entertainment. I'm just playing the shit I want to hear, and that was one of the joints on there, man.
Yeah, that's dope. No, that's dope to hear that. You know what I mean? To listen to keep it 1,000. I think most people knew that, but I love dollars. That was big. That was dope. So it's all love, brother.
Awesome. Glasses. Well, appreciate you very much, man. We'll let you get on your evening.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you so much.
No doubt.
All right.
Later, y'all.
All right, man.
Glasses Malone. What a legend.
Glasses Malone. Yeah, and it's funny. Dude. I was preparing questions and like thinking about this, watching some media of him, and I don't even know. And I was thinking, you would ask me like, bro, do you even listen to Glasses Malone? I was like, yeah. And you're like, what's your favorite song? And then it dawned on me. I was like, bro, my favorite songs are the shit from like 2012 when we first started playing. And it all came back to me like kind of surreal to interview him now, of thinking like literally the first shows, not the first shows I did, but the first shows that we threw as RMR. Yeah, I was spinning his music, and it was the unapologetic. This is what I want to listen to. I don't give a fuck. It's not like people didn't like it, but that was
it. Man, the music that he has created, the catalog that he has. For the people that don't know whom, or maybe they're just tuning in or watching this, but some of the people that Glasses Malone has worked with, for example, he mentioned Ty Dolla $ign, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick. We got this project here, B.O.B., Baby Bash, Kirk O'Banks, The Game. You've got Dom Kennedy, Tyga, so many of artists that are still relevant and popping today, and older gens are more old school as well. Continue going on. Keep going.
Dude, Rick Ross,
Rick
Wayne,
Ross,
Birdman,
yep,
Coolio, Ice-T,
Exhibit, Bow Wow.
Exhibit. Yeah.
The list goes on. Glasses Malone. Appreciate, man, to for someone that, again, when we were first starting, the DJ, slapping those kinds of bop, bangers, all the best features from last like 10, so many of the biggest artists in the world. Mac 10 collabs, like it just, like he said, to extract this essence of these different songs and time periods and this style and vibes, and then to recreate and mold and just craft these bangers in this era that we're in the last 10 years. It's just so cool. So wow, I'm just blown away.
And I think, we didn't go too much into the marketing of the game side, which we always touch on, or not all, majority touch on, no matter what we're talking about.
Now you know what that game was that he said for that today? You know what he said on that? It was right there. He had some really, really great snippets from that, and it comes. You have to garner. You have to experience it. You have to live it. You have to garner. You have to garner that knowledge, right? And it just comes down to it. You really got to acquire it.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like, there was that, we didn't directly ask those questions or us reaffirm it for the viewers. But if people are listening or hearing, you should have got the game from there. But what stood out to me was what he said was, learning people, like you were saying, learning people of who they really are and what makes them tick and how to ask them for things. And part of that, he didn't say it, but being able to ask for things, because so often, especially in local scenes and especially in a scene like Seattle, where we don't really, we don't have infrastructure and we only have a couple people, crawling their way out of here. We get this sense of just entitlement without consciously thinking it's entitlement, and just thinking like, oh, we deserve things. Why is Macklemore not breaking street artists? Why is not this happening? Why is not this happening? But when it comes down to the individual people, you got to kind of learn the politics and the ins and outs of how this shit works. But you also got to understand
there's a support system there.
You got to understand how people work. So if you want Macklemore, then you got to A, figure out how to get a relationship with him. B, figure out how he works. C, figure out how you can ask him for something. And then B, if what you want to ask for him, is he even the right person to ask for? Because if a street artist, I see a lot of people online saying Macklemore break a street artist. We've talked to other artists about this. That's not going to happen. Macklemore doesn't have a street audience. Well, who's he get? He's not going to break a street artist to a bunch of people that want to dance with Irish flags and shit. It's just not going to happen. So a lot of people immediately want the wrong thing from that person. So even if you were to get close to him and ask him for it, he literally couldn't even deliver it to you if he wanted to. So the game, some of the game that I picked up from Glasses is just understanding who people are, what they are, what to ask them for, how to ask them for it. That is a $1 million skill set right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. There's so much to have been picked up from that. I hope everybody goes back, rewatch it, like, follow, subscribe, leave some comments, give us some feedback. Go Google Glasses Malone, follow him on every single social media. I got him here on Spotify. That's where I prefer to download and follow our music. And our Spotify playlist. Add some Glasses Malone G-Mix to our playlist. You guys can go check that. A low-key, I'll put out the Cali Fire playlist. So be sure to go follow that. Man, super dope. Big shout out to Glasses Malone. Mitch, it was dope, bro. Appreciate you being here tonight. RMR Podcast.
No doubt. Thanks for teeing it up, man. This is episode 13. We're about to get up out of here.
I love y'all. Peace.